Hello and welcome to the Elsie Smith Show. Our topic for today is called Resistance is Futile. Get inspiration from the Kabbalah. And my guest is the lovely Maggy Whitehouse. Maggy is a minister in the Independent Catholic Church. She's also the author of 16 books on the Bible and spirituality, and she's led workshops in Bible metaphysics, history and mysticism in Britain, the USA, Europe and Russia since 1992. Maggy began in stand-up comedy at the age of 56. She was a finalist in the 2016 Bath Comedy Awards, the 2015 Funny Woman Awards, and a runner-up in the 2015 Stand-Up for Cider. Now here's her latest review from Chris Brooker of Big Mouth Comedy. He describes her as one of the most unique, distinctive and brilliantly subversive acts I've seen in years. So fasten your seatbelt. Oh, and funny, very funny. Maggy has worked as a journalist and a presenter in newspapers, radio, TV, and for the BBC's famed World Service for more than 30 years. And she presents the Sunday morning Faith program on BBC Radio Devon. Both her mother and her bishop think she should get a proper job. Now, Maggy, your website is really impressive. We will show that towards the end. The stuff that you do is just amazing.
Thank you.
And welcome to the show.
It's lovely to be here. Thank you for asking me.
So our title is Resistance is Futile. Get inspiration from the Kabbalah. So inspiration to me implies that we are creators. So are we naturally creators? And if so, why do we face so much resistance?
Well, we are naturally creators. If you believe in a higher power, the higher power is the creator. There are different aspects to the divinity which Kabbalah teaches about, but there's one source, one God, one beingness. And an essence of that beingness is the creator. And we are the children of the creator, and we are naturally creative. We are the only species that we know of that creates music, and we create laughter positively, and we create all sorts of things for no reason whatsoever except that we want to. And that's extraordinary. We are extraordinary beings because we create good and we create bad, and we have the choice every time to choose.
But then why do we face so much resistance? Why don't we want to create?
Because we're trained not to, very young. Most of the resistance that we have comes in training form, but resistance always comes from what's known in Kabbalah as Yesod, which everyone else would call the ego. It's part of the psyche that is wired. It's part of the reticular activating system at the back of the brain and part of the lizard, the reptilian brain as well. It's completely wired to keep us safe in the tribe. Yeah. And that's what creates resistance, because what is safe in the tribe is your position, what you were taught to do very young, how you behave in the tribe. And once you become a creator, you start to change things. You become different. You become individuated. And the basic part of us, the animal part of us, doesn't want us to individuate, because as soon as we individuate, become creative, become different, it's like we change color. In fact, our auric field does change color. And the tribe or the pack or the herd is afraid of that. It's very, very basic reptilian stuff, because as soon as we change, our auric field changes, the color changes, we are suddenly a pink pony in a herd of brown ponies. And therefore, we're going to attract a predator. It's that basic and that simple, that our wiring is you will not be safe if you rebel against the tribe.
And at the moment you rebel, well, you don't even need to rebel. You just need to use your creative power, and suddenly you stand out. Even if you try and hide, your aura then shows that you actually stand out.
Yes, indeed. And standing out to the tribe is a dangerous thing. Shamans always do stand out a bit because they're always on the edge of the tribe. People who change everything are on the edge. They've sort of got 1 foot in and 1 foot out. But they're always a slightly different color. They're always slightly scary for the rest of the tribe. And most people don't want to be that creative. Most people will only create in a derivative way. They'll just do the same thing as somebody else. They'll color something else in, or they'll copy something or they'll sing somebody else's song. And that's kind of acceptable to the tribe. But as standing up, doing something brand new or challenging the status quo or saying, I know a different way, very frightening for the everyday mind.
And it reminds me of something of the blame culture that we live in, but in a different way. I don't want to create, but if you create, I'll follow you because you were first.
There is that. There is that. There's also, in Kabbalah, we're taught that there are 3 specific different aspects of humanity around the ego. We have the will-less person, who is the person who will think a great deal, pick up a lot of information, but won't do anything apart from complain. This is the person who will point out what's wrong everywhere, but whinge about it. There's the willful person who'll go out there and start doing rampaging or protesting. They're the person who wants it the way they want it to be, not necessarily taking into account the rest of the world. And there's the willing person who's the helpful one. And an awful lot of spiritual people are the willing people. And I've been going down that line myself, but I've got out of it lately. And the willing person helps others. They help and they think it's the work of the soul, but actually it isn't. This is the help where you get strokes for being helpful. You are the kind person, the nice person. You are the one that everybody will turn to, and you feel good about that. But these are still all ego processes. And Kabbalah teaches that those are all sort of kind of acceptable. And you can see this in social media. There's the person who will offer healing or say, oh, hun, how are you? What can I do to help? There's the person who says, this is all wrong. This is terrible. There's the person who wants to shame people or highlight protests. But actually, when you want to be a really evolutionary spiritual person, you have to move out of that area. You have to go through the process of individuation, which is the part of Kabbalah which is about awakening. And then you give your life to the service of humanity. And the work for humanity is not usually half as popular as the willingness work to help other people. Neither of them is necessarily better than the other, but if you're working in the spiritual work, you actually end up doing things which aren't necessarily going to give you any kudos, because once you're at the level of the individual or the level of the soul, you're who you really are, who you truly are, doing your life's work. And that isn't necessarily work that other people are going to like.
Indeed. But so how does understanding the Kabbalah help us with overcoming this resistance and actually becoming creators?
Well, that's a jolly good question. It's a structure. Kabbalah is scaffolding. It's built on, I mean, the ancient mystics believed, and I believe that too, because I've never seen anything that contradicted it. It's the design of the universe. It's a mathematical structure which you use as a language. If you look behind me, you can see there's 2 diagrams. This is the tree of life here. Whoa, the basic tree of life. And this is what's known as Jacob's ladder, which is 4 versions of the tree of life, 4 different worlds: physical, psychological, spiritual, and divine. You have to learn it like a language. And once you do that, it's just an incredible scaffolding for your life. You can place astrology on it, human design, spiral dynamics, the Enneagram, anything will fit on Kabbalah, the Kabbalistic tree of life. So it just works with everything. It just happens to suit me because it's the underpinning of the oral tradition that is within the Bible. And my work is to help people who've been damaged by religion. So to be able to use a structure that reveals what the Bible is actually about and how it's a totally inclusive book rather than the exclusive one that we're taught that it is just perfect for me. Now, Kabbalah may not suit everybody, and that's absolutely fine because no tradition suits everybody. It just suits me.
Mm-hmm. Fascinating that you're referring to people who have been damaged by religion. Religion can have a very soothing, calming effect. I've got friends who are religious, and one of them actually put it so beautifully that it is a place where she can put her feet down in this world that we live in. But I've also got friends who are, like you say, have been damaged by religion. So in what way will studying the Kabbalah help them to recover from that?
Oh, that's a wonderful question. Basically, because Kabbalah tells you that religion is also just a structure and that religion becomes tribal. You look at how people are behaving. And you will, once you know each of the circles, which are called Sephirot on the Tree of Life, each one represents a particular attribute. There are 10 major attributes, like there are 10 commandments. There are 12 major aspects, like there are 12 tribes of Israel, 12 astrological signs. And there's 3, which is the Trinity. There's 3 Sephirot at the top, which are the 3 aspects of God, and the 7 underneath are the aspects of humanity. And you learn how to work these out. And when you see that people are working from religious aspects that are around the ego, and those are easy to spot because they are exclusive. The second any religion says, we're the best, we're the only one, this is the only way to do it, you cannot get to God without us, you have become exclusive, you have actually excluded divinity immediately, and you've taken it down to a tribal level. Most people work with a tribal religion, and for many that's fine. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that at all. My mother lives in a tribal world with a tribal church and a tribal religion, which gives her huge comfort. Yeah. It's important for her not to think about it too much, because she's going around saying Jesus is the way, the truth, the life. Therefore, anybody who's a Muslim, a Hindu, an atheist, or anybody is unfortunately going to hell. But she's okay with that. I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not. And an awful lot of people nowadays are not, because religion was fine. And religion still is fine if it's giving you a good time and making you merciful and loving. That's fantastic. But now with the internet, with the way the world is, we see the whole world. We see the whole galaxy. We see the whole universe. And we are looking at it and saying, this God is too small. A God of an individual religion on one planet is not the God of quantum mechanics. It's not the God of the Big Bang. And my goal is to show people that there is one beingness, which is the cause, the love that binds the moon and stars together, to slightly misquote Dante. It's this aspect that holds everyone together. And as soon as we start using it for division, we've dropped it into tribal aspects. And this diagram here talks about the levels of humanity, and the one over here talks about the design of the universe. And once you start realizing that the universe it's the Christ, the universe is the cosmic Christ, the whole of creation is the cosmic Christ. Jesus is one aspect of the cosmic Christ. And as soon as you tie the whole of the cosmic Christ down into, you've got to worship Jesus, which Jesus never said, you've made it exclusive. And that is never what Jesus taught.
It's about being inclusive. Now, I have read many books about the Kabbalah, and I'm still a student. I still feel like I know nothing.
Of course you do. I've written books on the Kabbalah, and I still know nothing. The whole point of Kabbalah is it's an oral tradition. You can't learn it from a book, which is pretty daft, given that I've written about 5 or 6 books on it. But you can pick up a fair amount, but it's learnt through discussion. It's learnt in groups. I run an online group for people who can't get to a physical group. I'm also a member of a group that meets in Devon and one who meets in London. But you have to discuss it with people, because the whole point of the tradition is it updates for every generation. Isn't that amazing? It updates for the generation. These 2 diagrams are such a good structure that I can talk Kabbalah 21st century. I can talk the middle of June or July, 21st century, 2017, with anybody who studies with me. I can also talk the Bible. But the thing about it is it will work for what's going on in the world today. It will work for the terrorist attacks. It would work for looking at politics, because as you speak it, you learn it, you discuss it, and it will update. It's just miraculous in that way.
It makes sense to me that you have to put it into words, because words is how you communicate with people around you. Words is how you express what you have inside of you. But at the same time, there are no words that can describe it adequately, which to me makes sense that you have already written a number of books about the Kabbalah, and that there might even be more coming from you.
Hopefully, yes. I mean, no, you can't actually even experience it all in words, which is why we have a lot of guided meditation. Meditations that actually take you up up the tree of life or up Jacob's ladder. Well, they're called Merkaba meditations. Merkaba means chariot. It's based on the teachings of Ezekiel in the book of Ezekiel. The basic Kabbalistic structure is hidden in books like Ezekiel and also in the design of the temple in Exodus.
Yeah.
It's not hidden, it's hidden in plain sight if you know what to look at. But a Merkaba meditation takes you up all the way through these levels here. And there's an old story about 4 rabbis who did a Merkaba meditation. The first one went mad. The second one lost his faith. The third one went all the way up to the top but never came back. And the fourth one did a clear Merkaba meditation and came back enlightened. So you're actually warned that going into yourself and going up the chakras so far, because the chakras also fit on the tree of life, is something that you need to be doing in a group of people so that you're held safe. So when we'll do a genuine Merkaba tradition meditation, it will be with a group of people so that everybody there can hold the vessel for one person to go particularly high. You can do certain ones on your own, but it's not a good idea to really get too deep into it, because unless you're on your own, you can get a bit lost up there.
Mm-hmm. And these groups that you're referring to, that you participate in, there are details on your website if people want to join.
Not on my website. The Kabbalah that I study is called Toledano tradition, based on Toledo in Spain. At the time of the 11th to 14th centuries, there was something called La Convivencia in Spain before Ferdinand and Isabella, which is when Muslims, Christians and Jews, the mystics, worked together in places like Cordoba and Toledo, and they worked this tradition into the time of those times and worked together, and that's when great advances in knowledge happened across Europe and the world. I've lost my train of thought now, Elsaby. Where were we going with that? Sorry about that.
People cannot join a group on your website.
Oh, right. No, they have to go to a website called KabbalahSociety.org. That's got all the teachers around the world in it. If you want to come to my group, you've really got to be in Devon, in England, which is far away from most people. Or you can apply to join the Mystery School, which is the online school. That is on my website.
Okay. And I will add the website details towards the end of this recording later on. Now, another question. Is there really a muse for each of us to help us in our creativity?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Yes. The muse exists. I mean, they traditionally, I think there are 9 muses. My main muse is Talia, who's the muse of comedy, and I always invoke her before I go on stage. But I also work with Calliope, who's the muse of sagas for books. There's muses of dance, song. We know about the 9 ones from the Greek teachings, but there is inspiration there. There are angels of inspiration. Now, the thing about an angel in the Kabbalistic teaching is quite different from how usually people think angel is. Yes, an angel just means messengers. So discarnate humans or incarnate humans can be angels in that respect, or helpers. But the actual angels, the ones that guide the universe, Kabbalah teaches, are not human. They are servants of God, and they do one job exquisitely. So there are angels of inspiration who are muses. And if a human being sits down, or not even sits down, goes to work regularly, turns up and keeps working, then a muse, an angel of inspiration on the line that they're working on, is allotted to you.
Okay. So it does help. It does work to sit and wait for the muse, but you can also actually invoke the muse.
You can invoke the muse, yes. Yes, indeed you can. Generally, the muse will show up when it's ready and when you're ready, because inspiration, I think, has its own timetable. And quite often you'll sit down and you'll start to write. You won't get a thing. But the important thing is to keep writing. If I just made a face there and people are wondering what it's, because I'm pushing a little beagle down onto the floor who wants to jump up on my lap at the moment. She's inspired to want to be particularly loved, and now she wants to leave the room. So I shall move this and let her leave the room. Not because I'm bullied by a beagle, but because I am bullied by a beagle.
That's absolutely fine. They also have a right to it. Okay. Well, Maggie, that's been really interesting. What you've been telling us is that yes, we have to be creative because that is part of our human existence.
We're not happy unless we create. Yeah. We're simply not happy. A child is so happy in a sandpit or making a sandcastle. Children are wonderful creators, and the difficulty is that we try and boundaries are very good for children. We need our boundaries. We need our strengths. We need to know what our strengths and weaknesses are. But to encourage the creativity of a child is so important.
Mm-hmm. And then to again unleash the creativity of an adult and to say it's okay to be different. You are different anyway.
It's also okay to be rubbish. Yeah. You know, I can't paint for the life of me. I really can't. Every now and then I'll do a picture which I'll really enjoy, but I have no talent. That doesn't mean to say I can't create paintings. Why shouldn't I?
Indeed. Like me with cooking. I am a master at burning boiled eggs.
Oh, well done, that woman. I'm a master at making food that tastes great but looks like something the cat brought in. I cannot make anything pretty, but my cooking's great. And that, you see, that's the joy of good creating, in the not worrying that it's got to be beautiful for somebody else. I have a friend who is a fantastic artist. She's so talented, but she's got it into her head that she will not adapt her art for other people. She will only do her art, which of course means that she's terribly closed in and nobody will pay her for her arts.
Yeah.
Because she won't adapt. She won't have this sort of flow of allowing her art to become something that somebody else also can love. It's fine to be very exclusive on your art, but if you want to sell your art, you've actually got to open up and you've got to allow the muse to become a muse that other people would also appreciate.
It's that beautiful quote from Anais Nin. The change happens when the pain of staying where you are becomes worse than the pain of changing. So you might as well change.
Absolutely. And I suspect you, like I, have many a time been going, no, oh, for God's sake, and done it.
You are so right. You are so right. And then you see the consequences, and people actually still love us, and it's still okay.
Yes, absolutely. And, you know, a couple of years ago, I got ill and I was terribly upset and worried and shamed about it because here I am teaching things like Kabbalah, so I shouldn't get ill. But nobody worried about it. Bless them. They just said, so you got ill. So you'll walk through it with us and you'll teach us how you're getting better. And what's so lovely is as you get yourself more balanced, even if you are ill in certain ways, or you're not balanced in other ways, is once you've found your authentic path, the authentic you, people will walk it with you.
Indeed.
And as Ram Dass said, we are just walking each other home.
Indeed. So true. Maggie, thank you. This has been really inspiring and really motivational. I can only refer people to your website and to your books, which are absolutely stunning. They are all over Amazon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next week, the title of next week's show is Love Your Neighbor. That's all. So I'll see you next week, same place, same time. Thank you and goodbye.